Now, I don't think these are going to end anytime soon, and we have 4 more losses that have happened here across the GTA. We've got some in Toronto, we've got some in Hamilton, and there is no judgment. The losses are coming from east, west, north to south. These sellers are getting hammered in some cases. There's even one seller here in Hamilton who's taken a over $300,000 loss, but it looks like they've maybe removed some walls in their home that they shouldn't have done either. So in today's video, I'm going to show you what's happening in the market. And when you're looking at what's happening, I want you to just think about the opportunity that might be out there for some people today and how you might need to handle selling your home if you are seeing so many people taking these losses. So we'll start by showing you what's going on, and then we'll discuss it at the end of the video, how you might want to approach getting into the market or exiting the market if you are planning to sell. The first property we're going to look at today is in Toronto. It is a detached property. It's a 2 and 2, so 2 bedrooms up, 2 bedrooms down. It's a bungalow, so it makes total sense. Under 1,500 square feet, and this is in the Don Mills area. This one just sold $100K off of the asking price for $1.688. Now, yes, that is a lot of money, and let's show you what the home actually looks like in person here. So as you can see, it has been renovated. It looks great. I'm a fan of the colors. I'm a fan of the glass personally. And as you can see across the street, we are in an area where renovating your home is very, very common, and even the tear down aspect of the neighborhood there. So you can see through this window here, there's other bungalows, and then through the past picture here, you can see there are people who've decided bungalow wasn't quite big enough, and that's great because it raises the value of all the smaller homes on the street. So here is what we're working with here. Keep in mind, it's not a big home, less than 1,500 square feet. So you do have the renovated kitchen, you do have some of these glass walls, you do have a nice little solarium there, and it's nice. It's nicely done. Would I pay 1.6? No, but I don't care to live in that particular area to pay that much money. I would rather live somewhere else and pay less money for a home personally. Master, you have access to the backyard, which is always nice for some. You just really don't want it for your kids' bedrooms. If I were to choose, you do have the master ensuite with your double vanities. I'm not a huge fan of the tiling that they've chosen. Doesn't match, doesn't flow very seamlessly, but it worked for somebody who just bought the property, obviously. Nice high ceilings. This shower, much more of a fan of the way it flows. Here are the 2 bedrooms and bathrooms that are in the basement. So a good space for somebody to enjoy, a little kitchen. So if you wanted to rent this out, have it as a separate space by all means. And you can see here, looks like we've got that lovely water tower behind the home. Backyard, nice little setup, nice deck, a little garden on the side. Very private. And there's no neighbors behind you if you're okay with the water tower, of course. Now, I'm a fan of the U driveway. Very neat. Don't have to worry about backing up. You just drive it all the way around. But this property has taken a significant hit. So we'll refresh. At 1.7, just under, is what they sold for now. What did it actually get purchased for? That's really what we're looking for when we're doing these videos. We want to know, all right, what happened here? And this one was purchased in 2022 for 2.175. So it has seen a pretty big loss, 1.7. So I mean, we're talking about almost $500,000 in loss. But what we do want to confirm is, was this renovated? Or did they lose even more money? So sold for 2.1, and you know what? Look at that. They also did the massive renovation. So not only did they lose that big amount of money on the sale price, they also lost the money on the renovation side. So very, very hard to look at in today's market. You have done everything you can to hold value on that property, but ultimately they've done some exterior work. They've renovated the inside of the home. They have probably lost themselves close to $600,000-$700,000 easily here. And that is what we are commonly seeing. This is not a one-off scenario. So we're going to look at the next property here. And the next property is actually in Toronto as well, 1216 Davenport Road. Price point, a little bit more digestible for most of us here at $850,000. It is a semi-detached home. It was listed for $900,000. Now, before we look at the pictures, as you can tell, beautifully done renovation once again, but this home was purchased for a lovely, lovely amount as well. We know it's never going to look good, but purchased for 1.103. Now, before I show you what the product looks like today, we will confirm, great, it was also renovated then. That's something we want to always make sure. If we are doing these videos and analyzing things, we want to make sure that we're not missing any of the finer details. And home was not renovated, or was renovated before and is still renovated. So they lost, but they didn't lose extra money on the renovations. Now, let's take a peek at what we're looking at here. Very nice open. In the smaller homes, these glass walls are very, very advantageous just to give you a sense of more space, even though it is just a glass wall instead of the drywall. The kitchen looks like it's very serviceable. It's not big. These semis are not massive in Toronto, but this looks like a nice, comfortable layout for most. Head upstairs to your primary, your secondary here. Now, it doesn't look like you're going to get yourself a closet. And your third bedroom is, more like a closet than the closets are actually looking like. Shower's nice, finished basement here as well. And you have an additional bathroom in the basement with some storage. And there is your backyard. So you're not working with much, right? You can see here, you've got no daylight, and then, you're attached on the other side here. So it is what it is. It's a Toronto semi-detached home. This is your access to your basement. Looks like it could be access to a dungeon of sorts. And this is what it looks like from the front. So not the most appealing home, and they have taken a pretty massive hit. So from 1.1 and change to 850, we're talking a cool $300,000 in a very short amount of time. And if we want to know exactly how long, that was in 2023. So 2.5 years later, you're losing $300,000. I hope they were able to transition into another property that worked for them. Maybe leave Toronto and salvage some of the equity that they did have here. The third property, this is where it gets a little interesting. This one just sold for $260,000. Now I want to show you the before, because the after is pretty rough inside. So the before situation was sold for $630,000, listed for $650,000. This actually happened in 2023 as well. So this was sold in February, March, April of 2023. Now, I'll take you through these pictures because this one, we need to go through the old pictures to show you the new. It looks okay. It's a home in Hamilton. It looked very serviceable for $600,000 at the time. I guess it was a reasonable price to pay based on market value. I mean, Hamilton has lost a ton of value in the last couple of years, but you get the picture. The home was livable. Now, let's look at what has happened today to warrant $260,000. Now, my guess is it was tenanted. We will never know for sure because people tend to rent these out privately, but this is kind of what we're working with here. Exterior, yeah, it needs some love, and it's only going to need more love. It looks like somebody decided to rip out some walls, rip out some supports. Potentially there was a leak or something else that happened here. So structurally, the house no longer looks safe. There are warnings that we have on our end. If you're not serious, don't come by and look at this house. So structurally, we don't know what was going on here, whether it was sinking, whether somebody removed walls, I'm not sure. But at the moment, this house is no longer in a really livable state for most people. You can also see here that some of the roof of the kitchen is ripped out, so potentially water leakage up above is the source. Now the bathroom looks okay. The front entryway still looks similar to what we were dealing with before. And it looks like they've kind of just moved stuff around to take some quick pictures, but nobody seems to be living in this home. And it looks like it is just a lot more beat up than it once was. So my guess is usually a property that's taken a hit like this is a property that was tenanted. Wallpaper's been ripped off the walls. It it just looks like it's extremely tired, overgrown yard, not to be surprised with at all. So that's what's happened here. Not only have they lost $400,000, they've also got renovations that they've probably been paying for, and you are, maybe renting this out and potentially not even getting any rental income coming in if it was, in fact, an investor. So this is one of the biggest losses we are going to see in the GTA right now, and one of the kind of most beat up houses that we've seen in a while. I haven't seen 260 sale price in quite some time. And we're going to finish it off here with a condo, because why not? There are some people who are really losing out on the condo side as well, just to show you what's happening in the market. This is a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, no parking, under 800 square feet. Now, this sold for $445, and before we show you the pictures, we'll show you the nitty gritty. I know you want to see the numbers here. So it was actually purchased all the way. Look at that. Look at all the history. In 2022 for $710,000, and they have tried to sell it for quite some time, and obviously it wasn't working. So $710,000 then has to drop and actually sell for $445,000. That's tough. That's a tough one to swallow on a condo, because a condo potentially is a first-time home buyer. And that's really difficult. It could have been an investor, but obviously sympathies are not there for the investors like they are for the first-time home buyer. And if it was a first-time home buyer, I hope that you are able to still move on in your real estate journey, whether that's renting, buying, finding somewhere else to call home. But it's a tough one to swallow. Let's look at what the unit itself looks like here. And unfortunately, it doesn't even look like a great unit. They've got the pictures all bundled together here, but it's really nothing. They've got just a couple pictures of the unit. It's old, it's dated, it's tired. I have no idea how this was sold for $700,000. Some will say money laundering. Some will say that it's just the crazy market in 2022, but somebody paid $710,000 for it, and now it sold for almost $300,000 less, plus your expenses. So these are some of the losses that we're actually dealing with right now in and across the GTA. And GTA is ever expanding. Some will consider Hamilton the GTA, some won't, but we're going to call this the GTA. Now, after looking at these, there's kind of two sides to the coin. Obviously, should you have to sell, or should you want to sell in today's market, you need to look at these as an example of what is happening out there and use it to understand that, okay, great, people are on the market for a long time doing lots of price drops. Why? They're probably not priced right out of the gate. So you need to make sure you do your research with your agent, whoever's going to represent you in selling your unit, and make sure that your pricing is perfect as it possibly can be based on the data you have available to you on MLS. That's the most important thing, is the pricing. You want to present it well, stage it well. There's some of these had horrible pictures, horrible finish. Everything was all messed up on some of them. The pictures are crap. You had bad presentation, no staging, just not looking crisp. And if you want something to sell for a good value, it's got to look good on the other side. Now, some of them still did look really good on the media side, like those Toronto properties, but they have just taken a really substantial hit, and you can't get more money in the hundreds of thousands of dollars range just by having good media. You need to actually have a home that people will pay that amount of money for. Now, on the buyer side of things, this is going to be looked at as some type of opportunity potentially for you, depending on if you maybe own a property and you're looking to upsize it from a townhouse, let's say, to a semi or to a detached. You're going to see how much prices have fluctuated, and just when you're looking at sheer numbers, something that's $1 million, if it's dropped 20%, it's now worth around $800. Something that is maybe $600,000 that's dropped 20% has lost $120,000 of value. So you've actually gained $80,000 potentially on some properties out there. So it might make more sense for you to actually make your move in today's market if you're looking to upsize your home. Now, if you're a first-time home buyer, you really have to take into consideration that this market is probably going to come down a little bit more before it goes up. Now, that shouldn't deter you from actually buying right now, unless you're going to buy short-term. If you are committing yourself to 5 to 7 years in the market, I don't necessarily care if you buy today or if you buy next year. You're going to be okay in 7 years, at least in my opinion. I could be completely wrong, but that is my opinion and my view on the market, because we are seeing builders just canceling projects left and right. At some point, things will get better, but we're on the way down, not on the way up at the moment. So see which side of the spectrum you're on. If you're thinking of moving in the market, getting into the market, just trying to maybe exit the market completely, and then analyze how to do it properly and get the most money for your property. If you're going to do that, hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. I know some of these videos can be disheartening if you are somebody who's thinking of moving and you are going to be selling at a loss, but know if you're forced to sell next year, it could potentially be worse than selling today. So sometimes holding some equity is better than losing it all. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you in the next one.